All right, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. Today we are going to hear about, we're going to hear a forum for us to discuss our real world frustrations, lessons learned, and the times where we have had to adjust to mediocrity. And today's speaker is Li At Rathbun, who is one of the STC superstars. Do check your ballot. The STC elections ballot is out. And you will find this familiar name on the ballot along with a lot of the other STC superstars. I first met Li At, I think, in Chicago at the summit, at Leadership Conference, at the Leadership Day at the Chicago Summit. And I was really impressed with her, not only her knowledge of technical writing, but also her knowledge of the society. I was impressed with how people looked to her for advice and guidance on a number of issues. I know that, Li At, you'll have to help me with the name of the course that you teach for STC.
Technical Editing Foundations?
Technical Editing Foundations is a very popular course, and you can take that. It's an online course. You can take that with Li At you can find out more about it at stc.org. So without further ado, I wanted to let people know that if you would like to use an anonymous name like I have, that you can change your name in the chat window by going to the little menu at the top of the GoToMeeting sidebar and just choose the option edit your name and email. And everyone has microphone rights, so be aware that you can mute yourself and you can also speak up. So we're hoping that this will be a lively discussion today. I think that's all of the housekeeping. So Li At, you are our presenter, and I think we should do some virtual applause and bring out our superstar.
Thank you, Vicki. Thank you for that great introduction. I really enjoy you too, and you're definitely one of the smiling, shining people in my head when I think about STC. But hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Li At Rathbun. Li At rhymes with fiat. And I have no idea what Rathbun rhymes with, but it's not Rathburn. So I am really glad you joined us today for this topic, this discussion, adjusting to mediocrity. It's a conversation I wanted to have for years. And I was able to start it at the 2017 summit. And it resonated with so many people, and I guess I had so much fun that I was invited back to present it again last year at the 2018 summit. And I'm glad we get to continue the discussion or have a discussion again today. After talking about this with Vicki, with unnamed hostess or the mostest, we decided I'd just reuse the slides from Summit rather than tailoring it to today's event. So I hope you don't mind, and here we go. Just a little obligatory introduction first. I'm originally from Israel, so English is my second language, and I'm fortunate enough to have two mother tongue level languages. I've been a technical communicator for over 20 years, both as a contractor and as what we sometimes refer to as a captive, a full-time employee at a specific company. So I write documentation, I create training video scripts and sometimes the videos themselves. And of course I edit. My title at my full-time job is technical editor. And I do also mentor and train others. Like Vicki mentioned, I teach the online STC course, Technical Editing Foundations, and I love helping others grow and succeed. Here are just some of the volunteer positions I've held or hold in STC. Please do try some version of this at home. You don't have to go overboard. Here are my current official roles, and I'm also, anyway, so I just took on acting president of Los Angeles chapter, and just stepped down from acting co-manager of the technical editing SIG. And again, volunteers are always welcome. If you're interested in any of these positions or other positions, you're welcome to talk with me or Vicky or anybody else. That was an aside. I'm also involved with TC Camp, which is not an STC. It's not STC, but it's an unconference, 2-day unconference primarily in the Bay Area in California. And as Vicky did mention, I'm also a candidate for the STC nominating committee. That's in the STC elections that are coming up. And just as a plug for STC, if you do want to participate in the elections, you have to renew your membership by or join STC by January 31. Okay, and so during the summit, I would use as an icebreaker. We'd all break out and sing happy birthday to ourselves. We'd say happy birthday to me. But today, serendipitously, happens to be my mom's birthday. And so I thought I would sing to her the birthday song in Hebrew, and you're welcome to join me. You can unmute yourself and sing along, or you can do what my husband does and just clap along. But here we go. Hayom yom huledet, hayom yom huledet, hayom yom huledet, le'ima Bella. Hayom yom huledet, hayom yom huledet, hayom yom huledet, le'ima Bella. חג לשמח וזר לפורח, היום יום הולדת לאמא בלה. חג לשמח וזר לפורח, היום יום הולדת לאמא בלה. Thank you all for joining along.
So that song's not copyright, right? We're not going to get in trouble.
No.
Okay, great.
That says today is her birthday, and we should have a happy day. And she has a crown of flowers on her head. My mom's name is Bella, and Ima is mom. So hopefully we're all now, relaxed. And thank you, Zohar and Nan, for wishing my mom a happy birthday, and thank you all for sitting through that. Happy birthday, Mommy. Okay, so now let's get into this. Any examples I share from here on out are things, of course, that did not happen to me. They happened to a friend of mine. I know that no one in this room has ever had to compromise their integrity or submit something, less than perfect as a project. And, I'm fully aware that everyone here is here on behalf of your friends, right? As I am. But it'll be easier for us to talk in first person. So, you all have a link. You've been asked to assign yourself a new identity. I realize that some of you may have somehow ended up randomly assigning yourself your own name, but we'll know you're talking about your friend. And so later on, I'll ask you to share, your friend's story. When you do, please raise your hand. I can't quite remember how to do that here, but maybe Vicky can share that with us. And raise your hand, and then we'll yield the microphone to you.
Yeah, in GoToMeeting, I think you just type hand up in the chat box.
Oh, okay. And then too, just so we all know, we have an additional level of cloaking. None of us can see you, and so of course, if you can't see us, we can't see you. And so, thank you, John. Thank you, John. Because we're limited in time today, I'll time each story when you do start. I'll time it to just 1 minute, but it's actually plenty of time you know, based on other times that I've done this. And of course, if you need a little bit more time, we'll provide that for you. There's somebody on the line that I can hear. If you can mute yourself until you talk, if you want to talk, please. Okay. Oops. Yeah. So we're entering the cone of silence. We're entering the cone of science. Any stories you share will remain in this room, or at least, you know, they won't be linked back to you. This won't get you in trouble. Venting in here will not get you in trouble. So, okay, I'm going to start my timer and share my friend's story. Sorry, just a second. It disappeared for me. Okay. So, for me, what got me started thinking on along this line is that after working at a company for a while, my supervisor requested that I edit less, you know, that I don't mark up as many things. There were too many comments and edits, and I needed to let the standards go a bit. And I remember going back to my desk and, you know, just sitting there stunned. You know, I remember thinking, you're paying me for this time, and you're paying me to edit. You know, you want to pay me to do less. You know, that doesn't make any sense. You know, the document could be so much better, and you're already paying me for it. So that's, you know, that was kind of my very depressed moment, very stunned moment. And I'll share more of my journey with you later, and, you know, more reasons for this request. But, you know, for now, I wanna hear some of your stories. Oh, I'm just in time. That's the sound you'll hear if you go over. Is there, you know, does anybody want to share, you know, some of the stories from the trenches about times when they felt like they were in a, you know, they had to contribute, that they had to do less on their project than they wanted to. They felt like they had to, you know, adjust to mediocrity.
So I have a story. This is Vicky.
Yes,
no, this is Unnamed Hostess with the Mostess.
Clearly.
So most often, I just run out of time. I'm not particularly being encouraged to do less. I've just been given more. And so I guess the mediocre is in my own mind, whether or not, you know, because I feel like sometimes I never actually have a chance to finish. I just run out of time, and the next project becomes hotter, and so I have to then make the, you know, the B plus effort. I have to make it the one that my customers will see, and move on to the next project. I don't think I've ever been asked to do less. I've only been asked to do more, and there's only so many hours.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Unnamed Hostess with the Mostest. We'll talk about reasons for that later on. I know it doesn't, you know, I can relate to the feeling of, you know, letting go of a project when you wanted to make it better, when you knew you could make it better. But there are constraints, and we'll talk about that and about how to be okay with that when we have to be. Does anybody else have anything that they want to share at this time? Okay, well, if you remember a story later, let us know, and we can make time for you to share it. So let's spend, and I'm sorry for the cough. Anytime I do a webinar, my cough starts. Okay, so let's spend a few minutes, you know, trying to look at the issue from management's point of view, you know, or management being whoever it is that makes your decisions, you know, the decisions for the scope of the project and, dates and all that. Let's presume that they're not just jerks when they tell you, don't, please submit it by, Friday at noon or whatever it is. How many of you know about the project management triangle? Has anyone heard of it? It goes by various names, like the productivity triangle and the constraints triangle.
Oh, I'm sorry, Leah. There are people with their hands raised. Formal eyes and Mader, yeah, have their hands raised, and I'm
Perfect.
sorry about that.
Okay, so let's give let's see. First, we'll give Mader the floor. Mader, when you're ready. Hi.
We hear you.
I don't hear you. Mader?
I don't hear yet. Him or her.
Is that you, Mader? Maydre? You can maybe let us know how to pronounce your name. Okay, we'll get back. Mader, please text us and let us know when you're ready. Or sorry if there's technical difficulties. Formal eyes. How about if we go to formal eyes?
Hi.
Hi, can you speak up, formal eyes?
Sure. And alias Marianne Bowen. I'll go ahead and share my real identity. Just a quick story that is just compounding Vicky's lack of time story. When the whole company runs on very little time, so that perhaps software coding gets done half an hour before you're about to present it in a training, and you have barely time to test it and prepare what you're going to present, let alone write anything and provide materials that are up to a standard that you really want to do. And
yeah.
That happens chronically sometimes in smaller companies particularly.
Right. Well, thank you for that. I know you're not alone.
Sharing for a friend, of course.
Exactly. I know your friend is not alone in this. Oh, thank you, formal eyes.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Mader, if you want to maybe type your comments, maybe we can read it. I'm sorry that GoToMeeting hates you. Anyone else before we jump back in? Anyone else want to raise their hand and share in their story or maybe relate to what we've heard so far? Okay, so Rage of the Redeemer has heard of the project management triangle, and maybe some of the rest of you have too, but let's talk about it. Like I said, it goes by various names like the productivity triangle or the constraints triangle, and basically it says you can have it fast, you can have it cheap, you can have it fast, cheap, good. For our purposes in documentation, we'll clarify this as fast, accessible, as in people can, readers, users can find the information that you're trying to present to them that they're looking for. So accessible as in, finding it, and accurate, right? So in documentation, it's fast, accessible, accurate. In any project, documentation or otherwise, you can always only choose two of these. And in documentation, we can never compromise on accuracy, right? Particularly if it's a life and death type product, medical or those sort of things. But we always strive for accuracy. Of course, things might fall through the crack, but that's not where we really want to have things 100% accurate. So it means that for us in documentation, we can always only choose one, right? You can have it accurate and fast, but not very accessible, right? People won't be able to find the information readily. where you can have it accurate and usable, but that takes a lot of time, right? That's kind of what both the unnamed hostess with a mostest and formalize we're getting at. So, of course, ideally we'd have all three of these in the triangle, right? Time wouldn't be a constraint, and we'd make it perfectly accurate and accessible. The readers could always find what they need very quickly. But that's not how reality works. It's not how it typically works, at least, right? So I'll use the levels of editing obviously from editing to describe these three components and how they interact. And we can extrapolate it to any project, but we'll use levels of editing today. So levels of editing is a description of the time commitments and the usability improvements that go with the various editing levels. So the fastest one, and these, by the way, kind of also go in reverse order from a completed project. Closer to the deadline. So and finer end product. Sorry. So this goes in reverse order from your document being at its final stages to its rougher stages, earlier stages. So the fastest one, the one that takes the least amount of time for the editor to review and for the writer to then incorporate, is proofreading. The document is fairly stable as far as at the end of its documentation circle, right? It's ideally it's ready for printing, or close to it, and so the writer thinks they have everything ready to go, and this is a fast speed read for the editor. I'm just looking for things like typos or missed words or extra words, or maybe the page numbering skips, or you're missing something in the table of contents, that sort of thing. So it doesn't take me as much time as a more in-depth review would take, and then it's not very complicated for the writer to go through and review my comments and incorporate them quickly. Okay. The next level, so I'll say, and this is kind of maybe it depends what quick turnaround means at your company. Like Formalize was talking about, she has half an hour to do something. But let's just say, maybe the publication is due next week, and so maybe the writer gives you 1 day or 2 days to review this, and they have 2 days to incorporate your changes, right? The next level of editing is copy editing. So I'm not going to jump in as deeply at this level into really understanding what the document is about, but whereas proofreading was just at the word level, making sure that the words don't repeat and things like that. Here I'm looking at the sentence. I'm looking at grammar, as far as is the grammar correct in general, following English standards, like I was going to say like random capitalization. But that's something that you would catch either during copy editing or proofreading. And by the way, before I go on, I'll say anything you do during copy editing that falls under proofreading, of course you would fix. So if you see a typo, if you see a repeating word, you're going to mark those kind of things. But copy editing is about, are you using passive voice when our standard calls for active voice? Are you using the heading twos properly? Are all of the sections that are required to be in there, if we have an overview section at the beginning of a chapter, does that overview section appear? Did you label it correctly? Those sort of things. So the document is not, is more raw well, it might be in a final state. It might be really good and ready to publish, but the writer is presenting this to me when there's more time in the publication process. It's not ready to be published, tomorrow kind of thing. Ideally, I would copy edit it, then they would have time, maybe if we change something that they think the subject matter expert needed to look at, for some reason they would have time to do that. That's not really, doesn't happen all the time, but give them time for that, and then give me time again for proofreading before it goes out. So I'm trying to show you, like, this is earlier on in the process. It also takes more time for me now to actually look at the document than it did when I did the proofreading, and it takes them more time to process through and to maybe rewrite, change the passive voice sentence to an active voice sentence, things like that. Maybe go back and include a missing section, or maybe they have to update the heading 2 style, right? So not necessarily huge things like updating the heading style, but still some stuff that takes time and takes them time to think about. So in the highest or the deepest level is substantive editing. It's actually dealing with the substance. So this is way in advance of when the publication is due. And this might be just an outline, right? The writer might come to me with an outline, or the writer might say, I don't really know how to present this information, right? This is where I, as an editor, really need to get into the subject matter. I really need to maybe refresh my understanding of the product. For example, at my company, we have, products that are for commercial use and for public housing use, property management products, or maybe it's about investment management. So I need to get my mind around what the product is and understand what the writer is trying to say. And, so it takes me like a whole bunch more time to do this. And then it's going to take the writer more time to process my comments. And maybe I've told them it would be good to add this whole other chapter. So it's going to take them a while too. So progressively, as we go through these sections, it's, we want to back it out as much as possible in advance of where the due date is. So this is all, I'm showing you this as far as like the time constraints involved with this. So, let's now talk about scenarios when your manager, when we know that it's not going to be perfect, but we don't have that kind of time, or for whatever reason, your manager might be fine and might even actually prefer a less than perfect document. And these are just a few scenarios to get us thinking. And I guess before we do this, I should ask, is there any questions? I'm just going to wait a few seconds in case someone's typing. Thanks, Lori.
Oh, you're welcome. I'll listen to the recording. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so we'll talk about these scenarios. Maybe the documentation is non-existent, right? So we don't want, as a manager, right? I don't need a perfect document. First, I just need something. We don't have anything out there. The users are clamoring for, the clients are clamoring for something. Can you please just give me something? I know you're working on this huge other project. Just take a week, get me whatever you can get me, right? Or maybe documentation does exist, but it's outdated. And again, I know you're working on this other huge project. I just need you to cut a sliver of time, please give me just a week of your time to put something out there that's more current. I know it's not going to follow all our styles, but please, put something out there. Or, maybe I know that what you're working on, what I need you to update now, is going to be outdated anyway. Like, we have a new product that's replacing it, or we have a new plugin or whatever. But so I don't want you to spend a month doing this, but I do need you to update whatever's out there now. So again, I don't want perfect. I just need something. Or maybe we've just hired you, or recently hired you, or pulled you from another group, but we don't have a writer on this product, and it's been, a year. And so there's all these things that are outdated or don't exist. So I know that you can't make all these documents perfect in a month or in 2 months or whatever it is, but can you please just make it better than what doesn't exist right now, And here's another example. I'm not too too proud to share, but I know it will resonate. Tell me what the difference is. Can you spot the difference between the image on the left and the image on the right? Other than this this thing moving down, I know about that. These are, by the way, at the summit, at the conference every year, the Technical Editing SIG. Now we have a theme, and we create pins and mugs and such related to that theme. So this is from back when we were in Washington, D.C., and we had technical editors are monumental. So take a moment and just compare these two images and let me know where the difference is. Feel free to shout it out or put it in the chat. Okay, I'll give you 5 more seconds. Rage the Redeemer says, right image might be slightly higher resolution. Maybe. Zohar, is the left image more zoomed in? No, it's not. All right, I'll let you know. The big difference between this thing on the left and the thing on the right is 3 hours of time wasted on my end. And exactly, Rage the Redeemer. It's hard to tell. So maybe the manager is just saving you from yourself. You're focusing your attention in the wrong place. I spent all this time on something I have to confess to you. I have no idea what the difference is. I don't remember what it is. But it was so important that I had to just fix it and fix it and fix it for this little, 1 by 2 inch pin, So, maybe the manager is saying, I know you care about this stuff, but trust me, nobody else is going to care to this level, right? And of course, those were just some scenarios. We can talk a little more if you have other scenarios you want to share, but those are just some of the ways that maybe, the managers are, on our side. Well, let's just say the managers are on our side, and maybe those are just some of the things that we don't think about, that aren't expressed when they say, I just need something mediocre, good enough is good enough. There's something else that I want to point out to you, and I'm just slightly changing gears here. But this triangle here, it's about resources. And another way to look at it is time, scope, and cost, right? So if you're a contractor, don't give away free work, right? Presumably you've properly negotiated for what the client wants and what you'll give them, right? And what they'll pay you for it. So for example, if you suggested that they could benefit from substantive editing, that really deep layer where you tell them what information is missing or how to better phrase it, that sort of stuff. If you suggest that they could benefit from that, but they want to just stick with copy editing, just show me where my heading 2 should be purple, not blue, or whatever it is, right? Hold yourself back from doing that substantive edit. If you don't, you're providing the client a free service. It's money out of your pocket. right? And not just that for this time, but if they like it, then they'll expect this from you on future projects. So every time they pay you for doing copy editing and for the the time estimated to do copy editing, they're actually going to expect you to do extra work to the level of substantive editing, and that's very dramatic difference. And that's if they like it. There's also the possibility that they won't like it, right? They really did just want you to find, X, Y, Z, right? They wanted you just to tell them where they're using passive voice instead of active voice, or again, like, where it's blue when it should have been purple, that sort of thing. So you might even upset the customer by going, that extra mile. Okay, so again, these are just some of the not so obvious reasons that obviously become obvious once we start thinking about them, but maybe now we understand more about this, right? So we understand more, but it doesn't necessarily that means that we like it, right? And here's what I care about and really why I wanted to have this conversation. I want to help you find coping mechanisms. I want you to be okay with what's happening. And also I want you to know that you're not alone. Like that was one of the first comments in here, you're in good company. I'm flattered, but also I don't know, flabbergasted or sad, but this really was a very popular presentation in the 2017 summit. They actually had to expand it to a bigger room, and like I said, it's flattering, but I'm so sad that this resonates with so many people, So let's talk about some coping mechanisms. And I understand some of this is rationalizations, but yes. And also I'll say, if you know me already, then you know that I don't think you just need to, just give up altogether and go sulk in a corner for the rest of your life. Quite the opposite. I advocate for raging against the machine, but there are futile ways to resist. And the revolution will take a while. So let's just talk about how we can take care of ourselves in the meantime. So first and foremost, and I don't say this flippantly, I know our lives are complicated, but please remember always that you don't need to stay in your current position if you absolutely hate everything about it, or you can't justify staying in it any longer. If you need to go. Listen to me here. It will work out. I want you to repeat that and believe it if that's what you need to do. You can leave hastily if you have to, but you can also work on an exit plan. Either move entirely away from your current company, or maybe move somewhere else within the same company. If you're a developer and working for a certain product, maybe you can go and develop for a different product, or if you're a writer, maybe you can go and write for a different writer. I actually worked at a company once where I started as a proposal writer, and that was just such a bad fit. But I was able to talk about how much I missed editing. When things were slow, I asked one of the writers if they minded if I edited their work. And then I did that again a couple of times, and then they asked somebody else or told somebody else about it. And anyway, from that, I was able to create an editor position and move into that. So I could stay in my company, but not stay in that, that bad environment. And again, I'm not saying this lightly or flippantly. I've been in that position, and I want you to know that you're not stuck where you are, and that if you have to go, figure out a way to go gently, or just get up and go, whatever you need to do. But all that being said, now let's just explore, staying in this current position. let's explore, the position that gives us so much grief and see if we can make it work. Maybe I can't, in this position, maybe I can't deliver the high quality information that I'm capable of delivering, right? I can only do B+ work or, C work. But, but maybe some good things come out of me holding this position. What I contribute matters, right? So even if it's proofreading, and if I didn't proofread it and nobody else would proofread it, those little stupid mistakes would go out to the client now, right? And that would reflect poorly on the company, and nobody really wants that. And I'm helping even in that little way, right? Or maybe it's not that. Maybe it's just I sit here and I get a paycheck, and it enables me to pay my bills, and and I can go to rock concerts every weekend. It's not ideal, but at least I have that. Or it gives me time to catch up on my romance novel reading, right? Or maybe even it gives me a chance to write my romance novels, right? Or more practical things like the company doesn't support the same level of documentation that I want them to, but they support my advances in the tech comm field, right? Or maybe they support my STC involvement, or maybe I have enough other stuff going on in my life outside of work that really, I could become okay doing mediocre work, right? Or I'm fine just having a 9-to-5 job that I can, get in, get out. I don't need to stay late, and I can, go tap dancing on Tuesdays, right? So these are some examples, and I know, again, like I said, yes, we're rationalizing it, but we have to find reasons for, being in this job if we're staying in it, right? But if you think you're spending your days producing subpar work, and that subpar work, is so much less than what you're capable of, make sure that you do have a life outside of work. Seek avenues for personal and professional growth. Seek outlets for your creativity. Volunteer in STC in some way, like I said earlier. Or write an article for your chapter or your SIG. I guarantee you that, the technical editing SIG, I know the Corrigo is looking for articles, and I guarantee you that the IDL SIG is doing the same. They'd love for you to contribute in that way, or as a volunteer, or take a college course or an online course and grow your professional skills, or maybe even take a course about something fun for you. And even if your company doesn't put an emphasis on this stuff, put an emphasis on it for yourself if it's important to you. And I do want to say, by the way, that the point of this presentation hasn't been about, a long drawn out infomercial just so that, I can tell you to become active in STC. But I am here to tell you that it's a fine vehicle for personal growth in the professional realm. And it might be your only one if your company doesn't challenge you, and you meet all kinds of great people. You get ideas for, how else you can challenge yourself personally and professionally. So, and if that's not where you want to be, then fine, but just find somewhere, find opportunities, to jump out of your comfort zone and to push yourself so that you grow and so that you meet other people. Take an improv class. I'm involved in that, and I actually recently I taught an improv class and actually put together I presented an improv class. Just ways to push myself and grow. But whatever it is, right? Take salsa dancing, learn a new language, all this stuff, right? Just challenge yourself and keep growing, even if you can't do that at your current work position. And again, I can't stress enough. Make sure you have fun outside of work. Fill your weekends and weeknights with fun and laughter, and just have so much going on that coming to work for a mediocre job is, it's your downtime, right? So ultimately, make sure that you work to live and not live to work. I mean, that's really, when we're in the trenches, that's really a good mantra to think about, to take away, right? Work to live and don't live to work. Are there any other questions? Or are there any questions? And thank you, Zohar Knox. Any comments? Okay. Well, there's always a lag. I want to wait for people with this texting thing. Okay. Thank you for attending this. Yeah, I wanted there to be a place for validation and to get, this is in response to Rage of the Redeemer saying it's great to hear all this as validation. Yeah, we're all, just remember there's reasons beyond what we know for why, our employer, whether it's contract or full-time, why they're asking us for certain things. We just need to figure out how to make it work, right? If we can make it work, then how do we make it work? And how do we make sure that we continue feeding our own souls as we do it? And again, I don't say this lightly. As an editor, we are the rule followers, right? We want everything perfect by the book. So if you want to continue this conversation and you're not comfortable doing it in this realm, feel free to reach out to me. Here's my contact information. And again, thank you for attending. And see you at the next summit. It's in Colorado, in Denver. And come up and say hi to me.
All right, so I think we'll have a virtual round of applause for Li At. I am going to stop the recording, and we can continue our discussion offline.